Hi everybody, welcome to No Story is Sacred. If you've never listened before, basically we're four siblings who grew up talking about the art of storytelling. Now that we're adults, we're still talking about it, and we're inviting you to join the conversation. I'm Pippin, otherwise known as the Woman.
I'm Alex, and once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, no matter how improbable, is still not that likely. I mean, come on. It is fucking obvious. I mean, come on.
And I'm Brendan, and the game is afoot.
Oh, snap. Yeah, that was the obvious one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. What the hell, guys?
And Kat has been kidnapped to possibly be sacrificed in a dark magic ritual. It happened, you guys.
More frequently than you think.
It's true.
It happened to me just the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. You're looking good for, being sacrificed. I'm just putting that out there.
Oh, yeah. Well, they put my heart right back.
Oh, that's damn decent.
You got that sacrificial glow about you?
Oh.
Anyway, today we're talking about the 2009 movie Sherlock Holmes. Spoilers abound. If you want the specific content warnings about things we may talk about, check out the show notes on nostoriessacred.com. For those of you who've never watched the 2009 Sherlock Holmes, the summary according to Google is, when a string of brutal murders terrorize London, it doesn't take long for legendary detective Sherlock Holmes and his crime-solving partner Dr. Watson to find the killer, Lord Blackwood.
More like crime-observing in partner.
Oh, whoa.
He totally killed that one dude.
Look. Watson always has the pistol. That's his role.
Yeah.
Anyway, a devotee of the dark arts, Blackwood has a bigger scheme in mind, and his execution plays right into his plans. The game is afoot when Blackwood seems to rise from the grave, plunging Holmes and Watson into the world of the occult and strange technologies.
Putting strange technologies there right in the summary kinda
gives it away.
Yeah.
How did he do such magic? It was technology. It was through contraptions and radio technology, which is still in its infancy.
And my good friend Harry Houdini. Meanwhile, Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale's characters from The Prestige are walking down the street, kind of like, say.
Oh man, I should rewatch The Prestige. We should watch The Prestige for this podcast.
A future episode.
Well, here's what I love about that little tidbit, because Arthur Conan Doyle and Harry Houdini had this epic thing about spiritualism.
Yeah, didn't Arthur Conan Doyle become a spiritualist person towards the end?
Doyle was weird.
Doyles are weird.
And if spiritualists pissed Harry Houdini right the fuck off.
Oh, yeah.
Because, they brought his mother into it, and he didn't take kindly to that.
Oh, don't bring people's mothers into it. That's not the point, you guys.
Well, it is kind of interesting, just to do a brief aside about Sir Arthur Conan Doyle here. He didn't regard Sherlock Holmes as his, ultimate masterpiece.
Hated him.
So much.
Tried to kill him and it didn't even stick.
Nope. It was what paid the bills. He actually liked The Lost World. That was his baby. But people like the crime-solving stuff. I mean, come on.
There's probably a lesson in this for authors somewhere.
Yeah. Listen to what your audience wants.
Listen to what your bank balance wants.
Get that bread. And other things the youths say. Youths.
But what's interesting about this adaptation, because let's be honest, Sherlock Holmes has been adapted every which way but loose, right?
Oh, yeah. Sherlock Holmes is part of the sort of cultural hive mind.
Yeah.
And it's been adapted, like you say, every which way. And I was thinking about our games before. And one of my favorite ones that I feel we should always play is Everything Changed When the Baristas Attacked, which is the AU game. And either
can't do that with this.
Either it would be amazing or it'd be awful because they've all been done before.
Maybe we can just force ourselves to play that game later on just to see what new Sherlock Holmes properties we can come up with.
I mean, can any of us top Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century?
I don't think anyone can. I mean...
Robot Watson!
Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century.
Holmes, preserved in honey. No, really, that's what happened. He was preserved in honey.
God damn it, why do you remember?
Because, Pip, there were some days when I was off from school, being sick. Air quotes.
Mom and Dad listen to this podcast.
They knew what was up.
Jesus.
This is when we'll get a very sternly worded email.
It is not too late for you to be in trouble with our mother.
It was a mental health day.
There we go.
And you know what was on at 2 p.m. and you're bored.
Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century.
And Mummy's alive.
Jesus. None of that is the point.
None of that.
Rabbit hole. But the point being, this is an often adapted work. This adaptation, I felt, was actually pretty loyal.
Yeah.
Like some people be like, oh, Robert Downey Jr. wasn't wearing the Deerstalker cap. Guys, that only came up in one story, I think. I think that was just Hound of the Baskervilles where the Deerstalker comes in.
In the country at the time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where it was appropriate to wear a Deerstalker as opposed to in the middle of fucking London where he was most of the time.
No, he'd just be wearing sensible things more often than not.
City boy, Sherlock Holmes.
He'd be wearing stuff that made him not stand out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then go and relax in the opium den for a while.
Woohoo!
Which they kind of allude to in the movie, but don't really...
Except for that whole entire psychedelic trip for occultism. I mean...
Oh, yeah.
That's like a Thursday night for Holmes, let's be honest.
And Holmes, the things you're drinking is meant for eye surgery.
Yes. They put little hints in there, but they didn't want to...
I saw a Tumblr post the other day comparing what the modern day equivalent to what Victorians would have thought of Sherlock Holmes's cocaine and opium abuse. Because it wasn't a big thing. It wasn't illegal or anything. It was just generally a bad idea. So the modern equivalent would be taking 5-hour energy drink, Monster energy drinks, and putting that in with your coffee. 5 cans of it in your coffee, and then chugging it while your doctor looks on in horror. Somewhere
an endocrinologist is just shuddering in fear.
Doesn't know why.
Anyway, I think we've nerded out about Sherlock Holmes
in the 22nd century.
Yep.
Oh,
so,
God!
I didn't even know if that was a tune.
There's something interesting to point out.
Yeah,
it's still under copyright. The last 10, the last 10 or so stories. That's why I like so many the things just kind of allude to them.
Are the last 10 stories in copyright?
Yeah, that's a certain video game that was made in Japan won't get translated because of those copyright issues.
Huh?
It's one of the Ace Attorney games that got set in 1800s Japan.
How is it still under copyright? When was it published?
Specifically, the last 10 or so stories.
Huh?
I was
Weird.
going to Google, is Sherlock Holmes still in copyright? But the top result is Sherlock Holmes real? Just FYI.
Let's talk about this movie, this adaptation here. We talked about before how, we just get involved right away with the occult. We get, a lovely scene of Sherlock Holmes' introduction as we go through super smart kung fu.
Oh, it's a really great way of showing his thought process, because what we get is this sort of long description of what he's going to do to incapacitate an enemy. I'm going to hit him in the face. It'll do this. If I do it again, it'll do this. If I do it again, it'll do this.
If I punch him in the throat, that'll really suck.
Yeah, it'll keep him from screaming. I'll hit his patellas, take out his leg. And it's just very methodical, one thing after another. And then it shows him actually doing it in 2 seconds. So it just shows how fast his brain is working.
Yeah.
And how many steps ahead he is.
Yes. And yeah, I just like that characterization. I'm like, that is a clever way to establish a character who is smarter than your average person by a lot.
Yeah. And exactly what he's thinking of.
And it's actually a thing that you can do in film that would not translate well in a book. Like, just imagine writing that out on a page in a novel.
No, well, that's why those stories were written from Watson's point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Watson's point of view, it's like, what the hell is this man doing?
And
fascinating.
And so Sherlock would have to, okay, let me explain.
Yeah.
Yeah. This movie also has one of my favorite interpretations of John Watson.
Yeah.
Because very often, first off, it's Jude Law in a suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
And it's very nice, and probably the reason why someday I'm going to watch Crimes of Grindelwald again, even though I did not like it. And Jude Law Dumbledore could do so much better than whatever the fuck that was. Not the point. But so often in stories, Watson is portrayed as sort of a bumbling simpleton, an idiot.
When he's not.
He's not. But because people want to sort of lift up Holmes as, the paragon of intelligence, they try to put Watson down. I was like, you don't have to do that. He's a perfectly intelligent man.
He's just not as smart as Holmes.
He's smart enough not to drug himself on a regular basis.
Yeah, but he's also not smart enough to not go gambling at the first chance whenever he sees some dice falling around.
To be fair, that is a very normal vice, and it is still not on par with cocaine abuse. Also, I just want to point out that it's mentioned that Watson bets on boxing, and then we find out that Holmes boxes shirtless.
But does Watson bet on Holmes?
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah. Duh.
Will I bet on the prize-winning horse? Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, he's a very intelligent man, and very often he's portrayed as not.
Which is really obnoxious.
Yeah.
Because, I think in the stories, Holmes often consults with Watson for any kind of, biomedical stuff.
Because he's an expert. He knows shit.
Yeah. Holmes will yield to someone else's expertise.
And then use that information to form the greater deduction. Yeah. But yeah.
Because he knows enough about subjects to to see clues and evidence.
Yeah. Anyway. Speaking about clues and evidence, let's get back to the black magic plot that they uncover at the beginning of the movie, where, they capture Lord Blackwood before he's about to sacrifice some poor young woman.
The fifth poor young woman.
The fifth one. Oh, yes.
4 others have died, and Sherlock Holmes
was brought in.
Yeah. Did not stop those murders, but it's unclear whether he was even hired to try to stop those murders.
I don't think he was at that point.
Yeah, because I think he mentions that the young lady's family had hired him. And then he went, found her.
Yeah, because he's Sherlock goddamn Holmes.
Have you seen the size of his magnifying glass?
But this ends up kicking off the plot as a whole because, that was part of what Blackwood wanted, I guess, was to get caught.
Yeah,
why?
So that when he rose from the grave, spoiler alert, he rises from the grave, he could incite fear in the populace.
I suppose, but I guess maybe, his original plan was to just incite fear while not having to stage his own death.
I mean, he was awfully prepared for the staging of his own death.
True. Plans within plans, Pippin. Plans within plans.
Well, I've felt his pulse. He's definitely dead. But just to be sure, let's do another test. Do you have the bellows?
Well, here's the thing. I was watching him check to see if he was dead, and I know too much about how they used to check to see if people were dead. So I was like, let's, get a thin spike sort of thing and stick it in his heart. Does it still move?
Yeah.
If yes, he was still alive, but will not be for long.
So, Blackwood, surprise, surprise, we spoiled it already, comes back from his execution, very much alive.
But you guys, is that more important than the fact that John Watson is engaged?
Oh my god.
to a woman, and Sherlock Holmes is not pleased.
He's so pouty.
And Watson is moving out. Oh, it's just gonna be Holmes and Mrs. Hudson.
And Holmes won't even meet the girl, even though she's perfectly nice.
And a fan, we find out later.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's canon in this movie that while it hasn't been published per se, actually no, it has been published, but like but Watson has been publishing or at least writing the adventures he's been having with Holmes.
Yeah, I don't think he's published any of the stories yet. The stories in Universe of Sherlock Holmes are stuff from like the newspapers and his, just reputation.
Yeah.
Because he mentions at the end, those are my notes, when Mary points out the volumes that he has.
You should write a book, John. Ha 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 ha.
I think at the end of the second movie, he's actually writing them up. I think.
That's right.
I only watched the second movie once because it's not as good.
But, another woman comes by into the plot as well. Irene Adler, who...
The woman.
Aha.
Who, let's be real, deserves better.
She does. I mean, she did manage to pull one over on a king of Bohemia, so...
Yeah.
It's true. And remind me later to get back to that Jewel
Right
of
on.
the Maharaja. But, not to bring up other adaptations of Sherlock Holmes again, but just in general, I'm not sure there's like any decent portrayal of Irene Adler.
Yeah, no, nothing after like that like one, I want to say 1950s movie adaptation of it.
Is that the one with Basil Rathbone?
Maybe that's the...
Was it Rathbone?
Maybe that's the name.
But yeah, I guess it's a character that they like to bring out to play simply because in that one story, the Scandal in Bohemia, she does something unexpected and surprises Holmes.
Yeah, she got one over on him.
Yep.
Which, hey, brava.
Yeah, and then they bring feelings into it.
Yeah.
And then just let her fucking win.
Yeah, that's the thing, like, in the story, there is nothing, like, really strong about that, I don't think. It's just, pulled one over. Everyone's very professional.
I would love to see a version of Irene Adler where at most it's, like, professional respect.
Ooh.
Like, not to queer it up right at the beginning.
Oh, Pep, we know you too well.
But have a version where Sherlock Holmes and John Watson are the main couple, and Holmes and Adler are the weird sibling poking at each other once.
Ha.
I can see it.
You're the platonic, what is their relationship anyway? And they're the ones going like, no, dudes, we're very weird friends.
Nah. But anyway, moving on.
Irene's in town.
Yeah.
And in trouble.
Oh, yes.
Because another reason that she deserves better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we gotta have a damsel in distress, you guys. We gotta.
Gotta.
It's the law.
You'd think that Irene Adler, in even like the more generous interpretations, would not get in trouble this easily.
Right? We don't even know how she got in trouble. She's in trouble with Moriarty, by the way. And we don't even know how that happened. She's supposed to be, like, real on top of things. Why is she even on his radar? Why is he... Ugh. But anyway.
Magic.
Anyway, she's also around. And people are dying, you guys, in London.
Would you say that there's panic in the streets of London?
And also in the disco.
But this is like when we get really into like the fun and games of the movie, though, as we kind of go from set piece to set piece, digging around clues as to what the heck is happening, as well as like trying to piece together clues as we're going along with like the various murders that are happening as the story progresses, because there's a lot of murder.
Murder that looks like it was done by magic.
Magic.
This isn't magic. These are illusions. for a lot of the rest of the movie, it's going from murder scene to murder scene. Or crime scene to crime scene, as the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
Action-packed, daring-do.
There's a really good fight scene during Act 2 against, like, that gang of ruffians.
There are a few really good fight scenes, actually.
I'm talking about the one with the super high-tech
oh, yeah, those guys.
Tesla tuning fork.
Oh, yeah. A plot-significant Tesla tuning fork.
Mm.
Yeah. A lot of plot-significant stuff just hanging out there in the background, which is kind of like a staple of mystery stuff where, like, yeah, Holmes is noticing everything.
Yeah.
But we, the viewers, will have to, like, go, oh, hey. Ah.
There he is, licking some rocks.
Yep. That won't come into play later.
And when you look at it, you think, oh, he's just being eccentric.
But he's not.
That's a clue.
If it was an adventure game, a little chime would be sounding in the corner of your speakers.
And when you put in your inventory, and maybe, hopefully later, you'll understand what you're supposed to use it for.
Use cement with dead frog. What?
And then it yells at you because that wasn't the right combination. And eventually you're just sort of putting things together at random and hopefully it does the little chime. Not that that's how I play video games. I think it out.
That's adventure games.
It's called Moon Logic.
Ha-ha.
I thought it was called Assassin's Creed.
Ooh. I'm trying to remember some, like, what's the turning point in Act 2? Like Act 2 clearly begins with Blackwood rising from the dead. Oh no. But, like, is the turning point when Holmes nearly, or when we have, like, the Watson death fake out?
Yeah, I was thinking the explosion at the factory.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, there's an explosion at a factory. Everyone is very concerned. Holmes actually has, like, a little nice moment with Mary, Watson's fiancée.
Who gets it?
Yeah. Saw right through his, like, a disguise.
She does not mind whatever relationship they've got going down.
I mean, she probably understands that Holmes is part of the package deal.
Yeah.
I mean, I bet she understands that Watson is an addict in his own way. Not just to gambling, but he's picking up whatever Sherlock Holmes is putting down, no matter how much she complains about it.
Adrenaline.
Yeah, he's an adrenaline junkie. Thank you.
But long story short here, we get to Act 3 very quickly, it felt, although this was like a kind of standard movie length, but it felt very, very quick.
But not in the rushed way, but the pacing actually, like, lends itself, I believe.
I was getting sort of bored at the end, but that might be because I already knew what was going to happen, having watched it before.
Yeah, that's the downside of mysteries.
Yeah.
But now we get to Parliament, and Blackwood is about to kill them all.
Like you do.
Like you do. But the thing is, Holmes and company have figured out the mystery.
It was science all along.
Who knew? And so there's, like, confrontations in the tunnels underneath Parliament. A bomb gets diffused. Turns out radio was invented. Who knew?
It's more likely
that's
than
where
you
that
think.
Tesla tuning fork came in there. And yeah, there's a dramatic fight between Blackwood and Holmes, and there's that great moment of, like, let's see if this hanging sticks this time. And he nails the landing.
Wow. Though it was also a nice little nod to maybe the occult is a thing.
Oh, because the curse comes back.
Yeah, because there's... I forget how it was worded, but it was sort of like it was foretelling Blackwood's death, and Holmes didn't kill him. It was a freak accident, as the crows looked on.
And that Moriarty plot with Irene comes back right at the very end there, where it turns out that Moriarty wanted the radio technology all along.
Oh, yeah.
Shrug.
Well, I mean, I can actually give him that, because Moriarty can make any old poison any old day. It was just, from what I understand, that's a cyanide gas.
Yeah, gaseous poison of some sort.
Yeah. And he's a professor. He can make that.
Yeah.
Probably has some on him as we speak.
It's probably killed tons of people already with it. Anyway.
What? You don't know how he spends his Tuesdays.
Grading papers, hopefully.
Oof. Sidebar, Professor Moriarty, how does he grade papers? Do you think he's a total asshole?
Oh, totally.
Professor?
He's one of those nobody gets an A in my class sort of professors, as if that's a brag.
Oh, yeah.
Oof.
Like, he's teaching a science class, and he's going after grammar.
Ooh. Totally.
What was he a professor of, anyway? And don't say crime.
God damn it.
I think he was a professor of mathematics.
That's what I thought, too, but I wasn't sure if that was getting from another Sherlock Holmes adaptation.
But anyway, back to the movie at hand. The good guys won. A mystery was uncovered. As we said, it was science all along.
Science all
Yay.
along.
So do you guys have any other thoughts about Sherlock Holmes before we delve into things we'd tweak in the story? Because I've only got a couple of tweaks on my end here.
I just want to take a moment to say that polyamory is a thing.
I mean, that's what I was hinting at with Mary there.
Yeah. Okay, no, this is why I wanted to bring up the Maharaja's jewel again.
Oh, okay.
Because Irene Adler stole the Maharaja's prize jewel thing. She was wearing it as a necklace. Holmes takes the necklace towards the end before she gets arrested because she's a criminal. And then it's revealed that Holmes has given Watson a ring to give to Mary, and it is the Maharaja's jewel set as a ring. And I'm not saying that their polyamorous relationship is canon, but it is a ring he made for John to give to her. So, and also was perhaps too subtle because I didn't realize it was the Maharaja's jewel until a fanfic I read afterwards pointed it out.
I mean, it's a pretty a huge jewel, Pep.
It was because I was distracted looking at it and going, why would anyone ever wear that ring?
To slap a fool with.
Oh yeah, that would hurt.
Yep. Any other thoughts? Al?
I like the care to wardrobe and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, this movie is deeply my aesthetic.
Yeah, and I mentioned before, like, we don't have the Deerstalker because that doesn't make sense in the city.
No. Oh, and we've got they're building the bridge.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, London Bridge may or may not be falling down. It's not.
But there was a fair lady on there.
There was.
And a murderer.
Yay! Alright.
Wait, I'm just quickly double checking my notes.
Uh-huh.
Just in case. I have the question, when you're executed for magic and murder, do you still get a fancy funeral and grave?
If you're a lord?
I just thought that
Sure.
maybe they stripped away your lordhood and you lost your rights to all that.
It could be like one of those things where they never actually did it to a lord before, so it's like, what do we do, guys? There's nothing in the books about this.
Fair. Towards the beginning, I have, basically the first time Holmes and Watson talk to each other, I have the note, oh no, I love them.
I will say this movie, I think, did a really good job getting the Holmes-Watson dynamic going.
Yeah, you get them when you watch them.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, that's those two.
People who've clearly been around each other a lot.
Yeah. Care about each other, but also annoy the shit out of each other.
Oh yeah.
In very different ways.
Oh yeah.
It's, Watson, it's not like I like you or anything. Babaka.
Oh, Al.
And towards the end of the movie, I have the note that if this movie were a dude, this movie is a dude I'd talk to at a party, but the next time we'd talk, I'd be all like, oh no. As opposed to National Treasure, where I would want to give him the time of day at a party. And this is how I rate movies now.
Whether or not the personification of the movie is somebody you'd talk with. All right.
That's against.
I feel like that is not a bad way to do it.
Fair. Cool. So let's move on to story tweaks. Do you mind if I go first? Because I'm pretty short and sweet here this time.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Because I liked this movie. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's a fun movie.
Oh, yeah.
But one of the things that I'd change right off the bat, I would get rid of the Moriarty stuff. Because I just felt like it was a a distraction. I just love Holmes stories when they're like self-contained things. Moriarty as a character, I just never found interesting, like in any of the adaptations or anything like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, what does Moriarty add to this movie? Like, add to this story?
He gives a reason for Irene Adler to be there, and that's really...
That's about it.
If you really wanted Irene Adler, you could give her any other reason, and such as, you know, she's also open onto this case because this guy is a killer of women.
Oh, man.
Hell yes.
That would have been a great way to do it.
Irene Adler is also investigating all this stuff, too. Boom.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, like, again, her getting caught by Moriarty, didn't really care for it. I can't remember, does she get killed by Moriarty in the sequel?
Yes.
No, what?
So,
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons I haven't rewatched the second movie is because I'm still mad about that.
Again, getting rid of Moriarty here, and then we have this almost, instead of the evil rival relationship between Holmes and Moriarty, we could have, like, good guy rivals between him and Irene Adler as she's uncovering parts of the mystery as well. And then we could have a coming together at the end where she has information, he has information, boom, 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 paint the whole picture now, because you can't draw the correct conclusions unless you have all the facts on hand.
Holmes would approve.
He would. And I don't think he'd discount anything that Miss Adler would have to say if she had, like, relevant information, which, I mean, she can probably access things that Holmes can't access in the city and vice versa. So they can have like a realization toward the end of the movie that this is a big enough mystery that they need to work together to foil this evil lord's plot. And then it's a grand conspiracy between a number of other lords in Parliament who are all trying to get power and do bad guys. So yeah, that's me. We don't need Moriarty. Get rid of him.
I feel like they could have done Moriarty if they were way more subtle about it.
Mm. Oh, yeah.
Like, have it at the end that, you know, there are extra clues that Holmes can't place.
Yeah.
And it's like a motive or something that he can't put together. And we see Moriarty then.
At most that I'd give you is that, and then coupled with the kind of Marvel-style stinger scene at the end of the credits where we have, like, a black hand grabbing the radio technology from the disabled bomb that we didn't see in the movie proper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the thing that Moriarty does is that he also diminishes the value of Blackwood as a villain.
Yeah. Because there's this bigger fish that's hanging out right here. And the audience, we know who the hell Moriarty is. He's in the popular culture too.
Yeah.
So yeah, oh, that Blackwood guy, okay, who gives a shit? There's Moriarty here. He's the bad guy.
They should have saved Moriarty for the third movie.
Yeah. And then you could have like little snippets in all three movies where it's like, again, as you said, Pep, great idea. There's the unconnected clues, extra data, ignore it, you know, and then you can have like that realization in the third movie. It's like, wait a minute, the missing radio, the missing ham and cheese pizza. Oh my God. It's all Moriarty. Who knew that he was a fan of Hawaiian pizza?
But yeah, there is apparently going to be a third, by the way.
Good.
And that's how I learned that Wikipedia actually will allow the phrase developmental in their articles. Because that's where it's been stuck. But apparently it's been stated for like 2020.
Good for it.
I think. According to Wikipedia. And I did not delve farther than that because I did not care at the time.
And hopefully we can learn that Irene Adler survived and it's like, yeah, Holmes, it's over. I mean, really, come on.
Come on, buddy. Buddy. It's like he kind of reaches in for the hug and she just gives him a handshake. There we go. So yeah, that's me.
But yeah, that just reminds me of the TV show Sherlock. For all of its problems.
Oh.
The first season, those first 3 episodes.
Uh-huh.
It's reveal of Moriarty and the pool scene. Which I'm not actually going to go that much further in, just in case there are people who haven't watched it. Because that is one of the few scenes where I wish I could watch it again for the first time.
At the same time, though, I feel like they played the Moriarty card way too early in that show.
I mean, it was the end of the first series, and at that point, I'm not sure they knew they were going to get more than that.
I mean, I understand that, but still.
The guy yelled out Moriarty's name at the end of the first episode. But that's...
Oh, yeah. Listen, it's been a while.
But we're not here to talk about that one.
Yeah.
The unfortunate one.
The blue ones. But yeah, no, you're right. It could have done far less, or in fact, even no Moriarty in this movie. And that would have been perfectly fine.
Yeah. My one note about Moriarty and reason why I wanted to talk about it was, as soon as Moriarty comes up, I just remembered Moriarty. Ugh. Okay, so who's next?
I guess I'll go.
Go for it.
Do it.
All right. So.
You think you're so good.
So, in this movie, there's one thing that kind of bothered me. Did Holmes ever actually go to the crime scene where, the American died?
Oh, Lord Sitwell, I think, was his name?
He was American.
The one who burst into flames.
Yes.
I don't think so. I think he only heard about that secondhand, right?
Yeah.
Thinking about it, I don't remember him. Yeah.
So that one kind of bothered me. Because he was talking about, like, all, explaining everything. And you're like, you weren't there for that one. I mean, you can probably surmise that secondhand. Also in this flashback, we see a backwoods Frenchman sabotaging the bullet. And I would just like to imagine what would happen if, like, this American, okay, time to open my special gun case. Nah, actually, I'll just go with my service revolver.
Bang! Okay.
So what would you change?
That's just one of the things I'd like to see tightened up. But just in general scale, I would like to see scenes of Holmes researching the occult more than just, like, flipping through somebody else's notebook.
Hey, he did a super intense, totally legit occult ritual while high.
Yeah, well, I'd actually like to see him find one of these occult dens, or really actually just a weird Alter Crowley looking dude who'll hook his ear off about stuff for over an hour, and Holmes tries to get the information out of him. But no, I'd just like to see that kind of, like, us learning about these rituals so we could actually deduce what he's trying to do, and then try to figure out how he's doing this through mundane means.
So more engagement with the occult.
Yeah. But from Holmes' rational point of view.
So would he have, like, moments come up where, like, somebody does, like, little magic and then he brings up a little bit of, like, the powder or whatever? It's like, it is sulfuric benzoate. It reacts in water. Something like that.
But, like, show him doing these kind of deductions in a subtle way, but, like, to not reduce the mystery, but, like, still not just, time to figure things out. Time to skim through a book.
Yeah. Now if we have more time during the fun and games investigation section, him actually investigating the occult might be fun.
Yeah. And one way to do that, remove Moriarty.
Ha-ha!
Yeah, because you're not...
hijacking mine.
Because you're not wrong. A lot of time was spent in the science lab area of clues and not a ton in the other areas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's my bit.
Okay. More occult clue finding.
Yeah.
So...
and also, for Kat's benefit, the occult aspects were bullshit. But because she's not here, she's off being ritually sacrificed. We can't super comment on what exactly was bullshit about it, because she's the folklorist who took a magic class in undergrad. But just know that all the occult bits, probably bullshit. Like, more so than you'd think.
Although, the thing is, one could argue that Blackwood and company, at least Blackwood himself, knew it was bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
And was just playing it up.
True.
Okay. So, Pippin, what you got?
I mean, we've touched on it. But y'all, let's talk about women.
Why am I not surprised?
Well, we could also talk about people of color, who did in fact exist in Victorian London.
Say what?
Yeah, they weren't invented in the 1950s. But yeah, this is a very white, very male movie. it does not pass the Bechdel test, which is the lowest possible bar for representation of women. The Bechdel test being a movie must have at least 2 women with names who talk to each other about something other than a man. And while there are 2 women with names, they do not talk to each other.
They don't even meet.
They do not. And arguably, they might never even talk to other people about something other than a man.
Moriarty and, well, yeah.
There's nothing to stop Irene Adler from being a woman of color. Or Mary Morstan, for that matter. Or any of these characters. Idris Elba for Sherlock Holmes. And it was mentioned earlier, if we take away the Moriarty aspect, which really, Bren, you're right, that is the weak point of this movie, then we have more room for Irene Adler to just be awesome. And not have Sherlock Holmes be her apparent weakness, with no super indication that she's Holmes other than being his obsession, which is different. But she can, like we said, be solving this adventure on her own. Possibly not even for, like, the good of the Empire or whatever, but just maybe she wants that goddamn radio technology.
Yeah.
We don't know her life. Or we can see more of Mary Morstan just getting involved in the investigation with Watson. Maybe they are so compatible because she's an adrenaline junkie like him. And yes.
I'm just picturing Mary commandeering a coach while Watson is aiming a pistol behind them while they're being chased.
That is such my aesthetic.
And she has a manic look on her face.
Yes. Manic determined.
Oh yeah. A smile.
Oh yeah. Darling, do take care to aim better.
It would be easier if you steered better.
Oh god, and Sherlock, or Holmes is just in, the back seat putting together clues in his mind. And then all 3 of them go home and make out. But no, we could maybe get a glimpse of what an early relationship between Holmes and Watson would have looked like in this universe through Holmes and Mary Morstan.
Ah, okay.
And sort of get that dynamic. Instead of her just sort of being on the sidelines and understanding. She could be awesome. Not that she isn't already. We could have a fun, it's not a trilogy if it's people, trio. Just a trio. Yeah, no, that's what I have to say.
Are you saying we could have had it all?
Rolling in the deep.
I was just remembering the SNL sketch, but okay.
Listen, if I can bring it to Adele, I'm going to bring it to Adele.
All right. So that's our story ideas. Do we have an idea what Kat might have suggested?
Actual occult.
There we go. Actual magic. And now Sherlock Holmes' brain breaks.
Well,
I imagine you could just turn it into a weird form of science.
Probably.
'Cause that's what it is. Just a different form of science.
Isn't there like a Sherlock Holmes story that takes place with eldritch horrors where it's like, I think it's like a study in Emerald or something like that?
Oh my god, yes!
Neil Gaiman, and and it turns out, no, actually, don't spoil it.
Yeah, don't spoil it, but yes, there is a eldritch cosmic horror story, A Study in Emerald. Oh man, I'd forgotten about that.
So that's Kat's change, is just do A Study in Emerald.
Yes. That's the problem with Sherlock Holmes, is it has in fact been done before. And that's part of the great things about this movie, is it was sort of a return to form.
Yeah.
With, modern sensibilities.
And it felt like an original story.
Yeah.
'Cause it was. Hey.
But it, paid homage to some of, the classic Sherlock stuff.
Of course.
The pipe, but not the Deerstalker. The quote, one mustn't twist facts to suit theories when you need to suit theories to facts. I don't know. He said it better.
It is Robert Downey Jr. saying that, so fair.
True.
Okay. So, do we have a game?
We can do a game. We talked about trying to see if we could pull off everything changed when the baristas attacked.
So you're saying the game is afoot?
God damn it! You know what I hate even more than the stupid game is afoot references? Is that I'm not thinking of them first.
Ha. So yeah, let's do the challenge mode, you guys.
Okay. I'll go first.
And just to clarify, everything changed when the baristas attacked is the alternate universe game. Go!
Okay. So for my thing, we're doing this entire movie, but set in Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century.
Well, we can't do things that already exist, because otherwise I am doing the great mouse detective, and none of you can stop me.
Let's try and be totally bizarre.
Okay. Space opera.
Okay, go on.
So London is now, say, one of those space station cities.
Uh-huh.
And Blackwood is trying to summon the ancient power of the stars. These ancient alien,
aliens.
Magics. It's like the Greys knew stuff that we couldn't possibly understand. And meanwhile, a Grey is like, I'm just here eating a corn dog.
I'm right here, jerk.
And Holmes is this, stick in the mud, doing his detective stuff the old-fashioned way.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Because part of the thing about Sherlock Holmes is that he was actually he was actually on the kind of the forefront of stuff.
Yeah. Forefront of forensics as they knew at the time.
Yeah. So,
shade on Victorian forensics.
But at this point, forensics have gotten so far that the conclusion is already drawn before you have all the clues.
You know, what I'd almost propose for this is that the villain happens to be like an expert, like, computer hacker type. So he's already manipulated the database.
Ah, yes. Ooh, and so we get that cyberpunk stuff too. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's me.
So, Sherlock Holmes in space.
Yes.
Okay.
Alright, so I have a question.
Shoot.
Can anyone think of an actual... Well, no, wait. I was gonna say if there's an already existing Sherlock Holmes High School AU, but there is, young Sherlock Holmes. But that's not...
But that shouldn't count.
Well, cause it's still Victorian Sherlock Holmes.
Nah, not. If you want to do high school, do it modern. Go for it, Pip.
Or your classic college AU, where they also work in a coffee shop. But no, if they're in a modern college, then it's also still Professor Moriarty. Ruining their goddamn lives. Oh, and forced roommates Holmes and Watson. We have Watson's pre-med, ROTC scholarship.
Holmes is... What is your major?
He changes it every goddamn month.
Undecided. His major is undecided.
UPD knows his face, but not in the way you'd expect. He is downing Monster energy drinks at a rate that is alarming.
Is he the guy that slams 5 coffees and says, well, I'm fucked?
I mean, I'm not sure he will ever admit that he's fucked, but yes. He brewed coffee using Monster energy drinks instead of water. And yet, at the same time, breaks the goddamn curve for everybody.
Like the jerk that he is.
Yeah. Moriarty has tenure, so no one will believe that he could ever do anything bad. Or, well, people believe tenured people do bad things all the time. But you have to prove for something grievous to actually, have anything done about it. Ah, man. Moriarty falsified data in a study.
Dun dun dun.
And killed people. Which is worse? Who knows?
Oh wait, did he falsify a vaccine study?
Yeah. Irene is the one who beats Sherlock in all of his classes, but she also does not give a fuck about his feelings on the matter. She and Watson are weirdly best friends. Yeah, I don't have a plot for this, but I can see the dynamics real well.
That's fair. That's all we really need for this game.
And at the end, the RA is all like, do you two, want to not live together anymore? And they're like, no, we're not living with anyone else ever again. I get they're crazy. And basically, I'm convinced that this already exists, because how can it not? Because it seems real obvious.
Alright. We'll look it up later and probably link a dozen things that is just this.
Oh, in my head this entire time I've been thinking of other Sherlock Holmes adaptations. We haven't brought up Elementary at all.
Aw. I hear it's good.
I hear it's good too, and has the best Moriarty.
Yeah, I like it.
Moriarty!
Also the best Watson.
Oh, okay. Lucy Liu, right?
Yeah, Lucy Liu is Watson. It's great. And proves my point about women of color can play any of these roles.
Alright, so now it's me. The AU I was thinking about, we're talking Wild West.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because I'm just imagining Holmes and Watson riding on horses. We can have even this story potentially adapted because it's about the same time period, maybe a little bit earlier. I can't remember when the timing of all this is, but I'm just thinking a lot more horseback riding, a lot more lassos involved. Come on.
So Red Dead Redemption with Sherlock.
Hell yes.
I could be down for that.
Just a lot more freedom just to go all over the place, different cities or towns. You could have you could even have a murder of the week plot going on. And this is just an adaptation of Sherlock in general, by the way, not just this movie, but you could have this movie's plot play out almost straight as is. Like Sherlock visits Independence, Missouri, and all this shit goes down. Maybe not quite to this level though, with Parliament and all that, but like just is magic a thing? No, it's not a thing. Come on. Let's find out who you really are.
Old Man Jenkins.
Would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you and your meddling doctor. But yeah, just a Wild West adventure AU.
Yeah.
I think it could work. And yeah, maybe it's just my wanting to have Briscoe County Jr. back. I don't know.
And days when they don't need the saloon because Sherlock is hungover. From
Hell
his
yeah.
drug addiction.
Well, I mean, it was America back then. There was plenty of cocaine to go around,
Sure,
right?
it's the whole thing.
All right. So that was our AUs. Any other thoughts?
The Great Mouse Detective is the best adaptation of Sherlock Holmes.
Yes.
It still has that Watson problem, but you know what? We'll go with it. Lucy Liu is the best Watson. Jude Law is only second.
So wait a second. We have the Great Mouse Detective working together with Lucy Liu to solve crimes in the Wild West, and aliens are involved,
Yes.
and they're all in college. I don't know.
Yeah!
I'd watch
All right.
There's no way this carefully thought out plot can possibly go wrong.
You know, it's better than the plots of some movies that have been made. Just saying.
Very true.
All right. Anything else, or are we good to go?
I think we're good.
it. Yeah.
So yeah, that was Sherlock Holmes.
As always, if you have an idea or prompt to submit, head on over to nostorysacred.com/submission. Follow us on Twitter @nostorysacred, or send an email through contact@nostorysacred.com. Your hosts have been Alex McDonald, Brendan McDonald, Pippin McDonald, and the sacrificed Catherine Crichton. Editing for this episode done by Brendan. Transcript done by Ash DeCosta. Art by G. Wolf. Sacrificial ceremony done by Yarbloth. Show notes and transcript are available at nostorysacred.com. Thanks for listening, everyone, and please rate, review, and subscribe to No Story Sacred. You can also visit our Patreon page to support the show and get neat rewards at patreon.com/nostorysacred. See you next time when we talk about Legally Blonde. Until then, we're No Story Sacred, and any story can be changed. I'm Alex.
I'm Brendan.
And I'm Pippin.
And we're
No Story is Sacred.
Sacred.